I'm joined now in the studio here by Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Welcome to This Week.
So glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Let me start with the news overnight in Los Angeles. President sends the National Guard troops in. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, said that this was purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions, that they're not needed. They have the situation under control. Do you have any problem or any concerns about the president sending in the National Guard to a place where local authorities say that they're not needed and could be harmful?
I have no concern about that at all. I think the president did exactly what he needed to do. These are federal laws. We have to maintain the rule of law, and that is not what is happening. And Gavin Newsom has shown an inability or an unwillingness to do what is necessary there, so the president stepped in. That's real leadership, and he has the authority and the responsibility to do it.
Secretary Hegseth said that active duty Marines there at Camp Pendleton, there by San Diego, are on high alert and could be mobilized. Could we really see active duty Marines on the streets of Los Angeles?
You know, one of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed. I think that's an important signal.
You don't think sending the Marines into the streets of an American city is heavy-handed?
We have to be prepared to do what is necessary, and I think the notice that might happen might have the deterrent effect.
Okay, let's turn to the big story this week, the Elon Musk blow up. I know you had been texting him, trying to get a hold of him. Had you actually had a phone conversation with him since this happened yet?
Not since Monday of last week. The president used the word disappointing. I think that's right. We were disappointed, surprised. I'd had a lot of great interaction, discussion with him about the One Big Beautiful Bill to make sure that he had accurate information, because I was concerned that people were telling him things that just simply weren't true. And look, Elon's number one responsibility is to save his company. The president and I have the responsibility of saving the country, and that's what this bill does, and we're really excited and proud of this product, and we're going to get it delivered.
What do you make of him not even calling you, though? I mean, this is...
He's got a lot going on, all right, and I do as well. But we exchanged text messages back and forth.
What did he say in those text messages?
Well, one of his chief concerns is about spending. And I said, Elon, the spending categories in this bill are in two limited areas. It's border, which we promised the American people that we would do, and it's defense. And he knows very well how important those investments are right now. Everything else in the bill is about historic savings and tax cuts for the people and ensuring American energy dominance by regulatory reform and maintaining peace through strength, shoring up these safety net programs that people rely upon. So this is really important policy.
He's not buying it. And he's gone on X and he's urged, and these are texts, these are posts that he has not deleted, saying kill the bill. Have you seen a reaction? He's actually asked people to call their Congress members. Is that happening?
It's not happening, and we checked with
He's
colleagues.
got 220 million followers.
Yeah, and I don't think people are taking that directive. We've got almost no calls to the offices, any Republican member of Congress. And I think that indicates that people are taking a wait-and-see attitude, some who may be convinced by some of his arguments, but the rest understand this is a very exciting piece of legislation. I'm going to say this. Look, I didn't go out to craft a piece of legislation to please the richest man in the world. What we're trying to do is help hardworking Americans who are trying to provide for their families and make ends meet. Those are the people that are going to be excited about what this legislation produces. This is going to be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. And I tell you what, all wages are going to rise. There's going to be more jobs and economic opportunity for more people. We cannot wait to deliver that, and the sooner the better.
Well, the president suggested he could cut Musk's contracts. Obviously, Musk companies rely heavily on government contracts. Can he do that? Is that something he should consider?
Look, I'm not going to get into the strategy of what happens with all of that. I mean, what I'm trying to do is make sure that all of this gets resolved quickly, that we get the One Big Beautiful Bill done, and that hopefully these two titans can reconcile. I think the president's head is in the right place, and he said a couple of days ago he's moving on because he must. He has a huge number of responsibilities on his plate, and he can't get caught up in a Twitter war.
Yeah.
The tweets are something that
whatever we call them now.
I know. I get lost in all that.
But he, you know, these were incredibly personal. I mean, and suggesting that Trump should be impeached and removed from office, replaced by J.D. Vance. I mean, he crossed a line here, didn't he? I mean, this is not just being disappointed.
Well, look, my way is, and what I encourage our colleagues on Capitol Hill all the time to remember, is that policy disputes are not personal. It shouldn't be. It can't be. I mean, if we took everything personal, we'd never get anything done. So I think all this would resolve. I think there was a lot of emotion involved in it, but it's in the interest of the country for everybody to work together, and I'm going to continue to try to be a peacemaker in all this.
By the way, do you know what he's talking about with the Epstein files? I mean, what is, and why haven't those files been released? Have you? I mean, some of your members have said they got to be released.
As Cash said in the vignette earlier, he's
You'll
FBI. That's not my lane. I don't know. I can tell you that I don't think we have no concern about President Trump or his involvement or any of that. I think it's nonsense.
And in terms of this threat to go after Republicans that vote for the bill, I mean, are you worried about that? Musk does have a lot of money. If he starts getting involved in Republican primaries,
well, I think it'd be a big mistake. I think Elon knows at the end of the day, the reason he got involved to help President Trump win and to help Republicans win the majority in the House and the Senate is because he understands that our policies are better for human flourishing, they're better for the U.S. economy, they're better for everything that he's involved in with his innovation and job creation and entrepreneurship. The other team's policies are not good for those things, and he knows that at the end of the day. And I think when the emotion settles down, I think he'll recognize we have no choice. We have to hold the House majority in the 2026 midterm election, and we will, because we got to allow President Trump 4 full years, not just 2. If the Democrats took over control of the House, I guarantee you that they would try to impeach President Trump in the first week of that new Congress in January 27, and that would be a disaster for the country, for our public policy, for the economy, and everything else. So we have to keep this leadership team in place, and we will. And we're going to deliver for the people, and they're going to reward it.
So on the bill, there's this provision that limits the ability of states to regulate artificial intelligence for 10 years. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she didn't even know that was in the bill when she voted for it. You know, this is a long bill, and there wasn't a long time to go over it. And that if it stays in, she would vote against it. Do you see that provision coming out?
Well, the Senate's in the process of modifying that provision somewhat. But I can tell you, I've talked to Marjorie about it. She's a dear friend. The rationale behind this is that you can't have a patchwork of 50 different states hyper-regulating or smothering it with red tape because, frankly, we would lose our edge. AI is a very important thing for the future and for national defense. And we're in a race with China and other countries on this. If we smother this thing with regulation and stop the innovation, we could do real harm for the national security interests of the country. And that's the thought behind this.
But on a larger question is, I mean, she's not the only member who said that they didn't know that something was in the bill when they voted on it.
Look, I'll just say this. This bill was developed over 14 months of work, endless hours of conversation, debate and conversation. Every single member of the House Republican Conference was involved in it at some level. The legislation was passed in phases, so we had 11 different committees push their products out over a series of weeks, and there was plenty of time to review the bill. I mean, to the extent
the final version, there wasn't that much time.
Well, no, but the final version was literally taking the 11 components and stitching it together. There was a manager's amendment at the end that had minor modifications, but everyone was well aware of what was in the bill.
So let me ask you about a couple of other specific provisions that caught my eye. One, there is a provision that eliminates a tax on gun silencers. Now, this is a tax that has been on the books for about 100 years. Why are you suddenly cutting a tax on silencers?
Well, there's a lot of thought and deliberation that went into that as well. The Second Amendment is a critical freedom in the Constitution, and there's no real rationale for adding taxes on these pieces of equipment. And we had the votes to do it. I think it was a long time overdue. I think we have to protect the fundamental freedoms of the American people, and there's no rationale. The government should not be making money on something that you have a fundamental, inalienable right to.
What about tanning beds? It eliminates a 10% tax on tanning beds. I mean, how did that become a priority for you?
Well, I think that was an unfair thing that the Biden administration put on an industry because they decided.
It was actually it goes back to 2010. It's been around for 15 years.
Yes, but the Biden administration enhanced it, and there'll be modifications probably to that in the final package as well. But we'll see how it comes out.
Okay, let me ask you finally about this question of the debt ceiling. This bill adds another $4 trillion to the debt ceiling. Donald Trump came out this week, I'm sure you saw, again, it's not the first time he said this, to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Yeah. Agreeing with Elizabeth Warren on this question. What do you think of that?
Well, he regards this as an arbitrary kind of thing that puts pressure on Congress and the White House. It comes up every few years where we have to extend the debt ceiling. What's really important about President Trump and his difference in this with Elizabeth Warren and everybody else is he has no intention whatsoever of spending higher levels of money. In fact, we're in the process of cutting. The one big
this is adding a lot to the debt, to the national debt.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I mean, it is.
No, it's not. The CBO is arguing that if we extend and make permanent existing existing tax cuts
Yeah.
that's going to add to the deficit. What we're doing in this bill is cutting $1.6 trillion of spending. It is government spending that creates the deficits. We're going to reduce the deficit with this.
Debt's going to be higher at the end of this, even if this
Not with our
passes.
pro-growth policies. We can argue that in another day.
All right. Thank you very much, Speaker
got it.
Johnson. Appreciate your time.